a message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on, son.
Now this the black sheep sticking its home. I need a crib
Like I'm Gatsby. I need
in
it.
hand. Just understand my
Pockets that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do, and they can't compete, and I got nothing to lose.
Yes, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Veterans Minimum. I'm your host, Nick Dais, at Nick Dais 10, as you can find me. All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. Back in New York, as y'all could see, the background. We in the crib heavy. The old stomping grounds. Shout out to the old Twitch community. Y'all remember us streaming in here. I'm back in New York. Sorry about only one episode last week. George and I are traveling. George is on vacation with his family. Shouts to Double Nickels. If you guys haven't checked out that episode, please go and check it out with Fernando Carmona Jr. He was on the show. He is a offensive lineman for the Razorbacks of Arkansas. He'll be playing this year. Hopefully the boy gets drafted, in a really fun conversation. And yeah, we're in New York, right? George is on vacation, so we're flying solo, but I got a really fun episode planned. These solo shows, I've realized through the years, right? I'm not the biggest fan of the solo show. However, when you do have a good base and topics to discuss and cover, it's pretty poppin'. I'm a big fan of playing off someone. That's why I love having George as a co-host. That's why I love having guests on the show. But solo for this one. Gonna try to record with some really fun guests later this week. Working on trying to get some studio time in New York City. Just need to iron out the details with the guests, because you don't want to book something and then not have guests for it, right? Because you could just do something solo. So here we are, back. Shout out to everyone supporting this show. Remember, all things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. If you guys didn't hear the announcement last week, we're changing up the Patreon. We want to make it a lot easier for you guys to support. And let's keep it a buck. Not really doing the best job of offering all the extra perks and incentives that you get with the Patreon. It's a lot. We got a lot going on, but it shouldn't be an excuse. It's more so of a reason why we can't have the things that we got on the Patreon for you guys. So what we're doing is $1 tier and a $5 tier. $5 tier, you get access to all the betting picks, get access to the Discord, and then there'll be giveaways. There'll be a bunch of shit come football season as well. But we're getting rid of the 10, the 20, the $40 tier. We are so fucking grateful. I'm so fucking grateful, because there's a bunch of you that have pledged thousands of dollars to the Patreon. And I don't like lying to people. I don't like offering things and not being able to fulfill them. So we're just making it easy. We get thousands of people listening and consuming the content per episode. And I would love for you guys to continue to do so. It might not seem like much, but $1 is all we're asking for. $1 American dollar. It goes a long way. We're going to try to make this one of the biggest Patreons on the planet. $1 a day. Not a day. Excuse me. $1 a month. That's what we're aiming for. We're not asking for much. Man, you're not going to even see this on your fucking statements on your bank account. $1 a month. That's what we're asking. It's 3 cents a day. You cheap fucks. Let me stop. Patreon.com/Veterans Minimum. Okay, so where do we start? Do we start with the NFL schedule release? Do we talk about the Knicks going to the conference finals? Do we talk about Antman versus SGA in the conference finals with the logo of the face of the NBA dangling, over half court for each game? Because the winner of the Western Conference, in my opinion, as a Knicks fan, which, come on, baby. I mean, what we doing here, cuz? That was a terrible view, but let's take these off. We go, bam, there we go. What up? We in here. Darce left his mark already. Darce kicking it with Jazz and Lola and Titan, the family dogs. But yeah, what do we talk about first? I think we should discuss the Knicks. Let's talk about the Knicks. The Knicks make it to the conference finals. in the NBA for the first time in 25 years. They're going to be playing the Indiana Pacers. Betting odds for the NBA Conference Finals in the East. In my opinion, if I was betting, right, obviously you guys know homerism is in full-fledged. I am pro New York Knicks. However, if I was betting, and this is what I always tell people, right? I give people two assessments whenever my favorite team or my favorite fighters, or shouts to Jared Gordon. He got a big win over the weekend in the UFC Apex against Thiago Moises, got a first round knockout. Shouts to him. Super, super proud of him and super hyped for him. He needed that one, man. He's been screwed over a bunch of fights. Should be on a 7-fight winning streak, but judges and other things out of his control made it not be the case, right? So anytime I'm asked my opinion on how I would bet a game, a series, a prop on a favorite player, fighter, or team, I give you two sides. The homer side, I'm gonna ride and die with my team, the player, the fighter, especially if I know them. But then I also tell you how I would bet it if I wasn't a fan of the Knicks, or if I wasn't a fan of Jared Gordon, or if I didn't know Jared Gordon, or if I didn't like the New York Giants. I always pride myself on being an honest assessment of my teams. The value, which is what everyone likes to use in the sports betting space, I think it's on the Pacers. Pacers plus 130 to win the series. Knicks minus 150. Consensus using a bunch of books in town. Look, I think the Pacers are a son of a bitch against everybody. They could go 10 deep, which is not what the Knicks do. Knicks go like 6.5, maybe 7 if Deuce hits a couple jump shots. The Pacers are a tough matchup for everyone in the East, and I would say whoever would come out the West would be a tough matchup as well. But you got to ride with the Knicks, right? You got to ride with the Knicks. The Garden is buzzing. The crowd is buzzing. People are really excited for what's happening in the NBA, especially with the Knicks. I mean, even people that are not Knicks fans. Like, if you're not a Knicks fan, and if you're not a Celtics fan, if you're not a Pacers fan, if you're not a Pistons fan, if you're not someone that has a rivalry with the Knicks, how do you not root for the Knicks, bro? One of the reasons why the fans are bugging out is because we haven't had much to celebrate over the years, all right? We got excited because fucking Linsanity came in and put together 4 good games. And this has been a team just to justify the actions of New Yorkers and the chaos that ensues. This fan base has been through a lot. All right, they've been through a lot. We've had to sit through thinking that Mike Sweetney was going to be the savior. We had to sit through Marty Collins and Jerome James. I had Knick fan friends telling me that Evan Fournier was going to be the savior because he could shoot threes, right? Like, we've endured a lot, right? Fucking front office scandal, multiple coaches, every player in the NBA. And we're talking about dudes that got fucking signature sneakers. They love playing at the Garden. All of them. Oh, my favorite building. The atmosphere, the aura, the energy. They love it, but no one ever came, right? Shout out to Carmelo Anthony, the only big name superstar that actually came to the Knicks. I think his career has aged fucking fantastic because of that reason, right? You look back and you're like, holy shit, no one wanted to come to New York except for him, right? So his fan base has been through a lot. So forgive us if we're celebrating a little bit. We're throwing some trash at Pacer fans. By the way, don't do that. How about that, right? Like, if you're a Pacer fan, don't wear any gear. This is like Boca Juniors River Plate type shit in Argentina, right? If the game's in River Plate, you're not going to show up in a Boca jersey. You're going to get harassed. You're going to get assaulted. Assault and battery is coming your way. And you know what? You asked for this, right? You asked for this. You can't go into hostile environments wearing other people's jerseys, especially when the fan base has been fucking begging for some shit like this to go down forever, right? And there's one more thing. I've had this take for years, and I am searching for the videos. Dom, if you see this, if you could help me find this video. I have been saying for years, I know I'm a New Yorker. I know I'm a little biased. But man, if you're seeing everything that's ensued with the celebrations, with the people coming out for the Knicks, with the aura of MSG, and how much people love this team, there is not a single team in professional sports that if they won a championship, the fucking city would melt. I have been saying this from when I used to do veterans minimum with the old crew and the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. I was like, bro, if you think that's crazy, if the Knicks ever win a title, holy fuck, they're going to burn the city down. They're going to go to bed and then come back and be like, yo, we got to clean this shit up. We was wilding yesterday. That's what it's like, right? So many other cities have multiple teams in them from the same sport. So many other shit, even New York. New York has 2 of every sports team. 2 basketball, 2 hockey, 2 baseball, fucking 2 soccer, obviously 2 football. But bro, real New Yorkers, you're a Knicks fan. Like, if you're born and raised in New York, unless you're one of those fucking outliers, it's like a loser fucking Laker fan. Or like maybe your dad was a Laker fan and you just became a like whatever. But like if you were a born and raised New Yorker, like you're probably rooting for the Knicks. And you didn't have no one else to root for. These new fucking hipster fans that come in, obviously because they're in Brooklyn now, they was in Jersey before. All the real New Yorkers, they're Knicks fans. So the entire city roots for one team. You don't get that in all the other sports, right? My friend group, right? If I got a friend group of 10 people, half Giants, half Jets, half Mets, half Yankees, half Islanders, half Rangers. They don't watch the MLS, respectfully. Everybody's a Knicks fan, right? There's one friend, my buddy Josh. Shouts to Josh. He's a Pistons fan, but he's been a Pistons fan since the fucking Ben Wallace days, right? And that's his squad. That's who he rocks with, right? Outside of that, like, bro, you're a fucking Knicks fan, right? So this is just for you guys to understand just what goes on in New York and why it's such a big fucking deal what's happening, right? With all that being said, I think this series is very, very interesting. Look, where my official prediction, and this is not Homer aside, this is the bet that I'm making for the NBA Finals. And I feel really good in this because this is a rematch of last season's conference semifinals where the Pacers beat the Knicks in 7 games. And the Knicks lost in 7. And if you remember that series, dudes was dropping like flies left and right. Fucking Brunson even got hurt at the tail end. They didn't have Randall. Mind you, he's not on the team now. I totally understand. But just hear me out. They didn't have Randall. Bogdanovich hurt. Brunson got banged up. OG had to come in on a fucked up hamstring, took 1 jump shot, made it, then got pulled from the game. The team was just falling apart left and right, and they took them to 7. They took them to 7 games. Now, this Pacer team is the exact same Pacer team as it was last year. However, now you got Bridges. Now you got a healthy OG. Now you got Karl Anthony Towns. Now you got Mitchell Robinson. I'm looking at Knicks in 6 at plus 570. That's what I really like. I think the Knicks can even get it in 5, honestly. Another bet that I'm looking at is Knicks minus 1.5. You get that at plus 150. And that's what I think it goes down. I think the Knicks beat them in 6. My official pick is Knicks minus 1.5 at plus 150. I love it for that reason. Look, Indiana is playing really well. They're peaking right now, but so are the Knicks. Knicks are playing the best basketball they've played all season, and everyone's healthy. Everyone's available. This is at the time that we're recording this prior to game 1 of the conference finals. And I think the New York Knicks go to the NBA Finals. I really do. I think that their best 5 is better than the Pacers' best 5. And when it's gut check time, I think the Garden is going to be rocking. I think this is a team that is very comfortable playing on the road. I don't think a deficit is intimidating to them. Look, they did something that no team has ever done in NBA history, coming back from 20 points down, not once but twice in a series. And I think the New York Knicks are going to go to the NBA Finals. -1.5 spread against the Pacers at +150. That is my official prediction for the Eastern Conference Finals. So, took a little pause there from the action. Remember, patreon.com/veterans minimum, $1 or $5 a month. That's all we're asking for. Please, if you are a member of the Patreon, please edit your membership to $1 or $5. And if you haven't joined the Patreon, we would really, really appreciate it from the bottom of our fucking beautiful hearts. If you guys could just donate $1 American dollar a month is all we're asking for. We're gonna 5K our way. $1 a month, daddy. That's what we're talking about. Patreon.com/veterans minimum. Okay, the conference finals on the West. Oh my goodness. Talk about a bar fight. Honestly, I would say the two best teams in the West are playing each other. I can't say that for the Eastern Conference. I think the right two teams are in the conference finals in the West. In the East, I don't think the right two teams are in the conference finals, but that is the game we play. This is going to be the first time in 7 years. Sorry, in the last 7 years, we will have 7 different NBA champions. This has never happened in NBA history. Parity is in the league. For as much as people want to shit on the NBA and say that it's very predictable, clearly it's not. It's not. Though you do have a team in the Oklahoma City Thunder that was a top 5 favorite. We've mentioned in the past that since 2000, only 4 NBA champions have not been a top 5 favorite. It's the 2011 Mavericks, the 2019 Toronto Raptors, the 2015 Golden State Warriors, and the 2004 Detroit Pistons. Everyone else has been a top 5 favorite. So if the Thunder win the finals, which they're the favorite at minus 180 to win the NBA Finals, that trend is going to continue. If anyone else wins the title, this is going to be the 5th team in 25 years to win a title and not be a top 5 favorite in the NBA. So parity might be back. So conference finals, you have a significant favorite in the Oklahoma City Thunder, -375 to win the series. The Timberwolves kick back at +300, excuse me. Oh man, this is tough. I think one team is playing better than the other. I'll be honest with you. I think the Timberwolves right now and the Pacers are playing the best ball of anyone in the playoffs. I'm talking about 1 through 12, right? 1 through 6.5, maybe the Knicks are in that conversation. But 1 through 12, it's hard to argue against Minnesota, man. It's hard to argue against Minnesota. They're defensively sound. They have a lot of guys that could beat you in different ways. They could shoot the 3 ball. They have bigs. They got length defensively. They got versatility. They could switch guys on and off. They have a shooter in DiVincenzo who, to be honest, hasn't really lit it up this year, but he's hit some big buckets when the team has needed him. But he hasn't had that 39-point explosion like he did with the Knicks. Different role, different team. And then ultimately, you got Antman. Anthony Edwards, who I've called him the legend killer, the OG slayer, right? He's beaten Durant. He's beaten Luka and LeBron. He beat Curry and the Warriors and Draymond Green. If he could beat this Thunder team, the aura of Anthony Edwards continues. And then I think it's fair to say that he's the one. Look, he's 23 years old, arguably a top 5 player in the league. And when it comes to playoff time, this playoff Ant-Man, if they go on to win this series, is a real thing. Like, dude just elevates when it matters most. And I've said this many, many times again. Give me a guy in the NBA who in April, May, and June shows up. I don't care about January and Atlanta and Washington. I don't care. Can you just stay healthy? Let's get to April, May, June. That's what I want. That's why I always like Jimmy Butler. That's why I love Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts come January, February. How many guys you taking over him? The list is 2, maybe, right? So with the Thunder, they're another team that could beat you in many, many different ways. And they have multiple guys that they could throw at Antman. Caruso, I think, is one of the 5 most important players in the NBA Conference Finals, believe it or not. I really do. I think what he does for them defensively, a spark, gets in people's faces. Mind you, he's the only guy on this team with championship pedigree. He won a ring in the bubble with the Lakers. He's considered an old head in his 30s on this team because this team is really, really young. I think Caruso is an absolute beast. And then if you think about it, I also think that SGA is probably the safest bet in the NBA playoffs to get you 30 points. I think he gets you 30 every night. His bet number for points is always like 31.5, 32.5, as it was in Game 7 against the Nuggets. He surpassed that also. But man, him to get 30, I feel is like the safest bet in the entire NBA playoffs. So I really like it. I like what the Thunder are doing. The ideal finals, right? If Vince McMahon, if Mr. McMahon was booking the NBA finals, he's doing Timberwolves Knicks. I mean, bro, the storylines, right? You get the Cat and Randall trade. You got the biggest city on the planet finally making it to the finals, going up against Minnesota, who's never been to the finals, with a guy who's probably the face of the league. A lot of off the field shenanigans, but hey, listen, he likes to live a little, right? And you know what? He paid his child support. Some people don't. So tip your cap off to Mr. Edwards. A little bit of new school, right? Even the Knicks, even though the Knicks are an OG team, some new flavor with New York finally being good. The storylines would be epic, right? Like, does the Mecca win the title and the city burns down for the first championship in over 50 plus years? Or does Anthony Edwards become the one when it comes to faces of the league? So Vince McMahon would definitely book Wolves and Knicks. And listen, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I've really enjoyed the NBA playoffs this year. I think there's been a lot of comebacks, which I've also said has been a big reason why the 3-ball is so popular, because if you're a fan of a team and you know your team is down 20, you've seen multiple teams come back down 15, down 20 because of 3-ball, right? You go into halftime, you're down 23 points. Your team comes out on hits 3 threes in a row. You cut it down to 11, 12. You're back in it. Make 2 more stops at single digits. So the 3-ball is a gift and a curse. I think you just got to evolve with sports. Sports change. Now quarterbacks got to throw 4,000 yards or they're considered bums. Back in the day, you threw, 20 years ago, you threw for 4,000 yards. You were like, holy shit, this guy's fucking setting all the records. Now it's like, can't even throw 4,000 yards. You know what I'm saying? Like, the game evolves. And now you got to shoot threes. That's it. 3 is worth more than 2. No matter what country, language, ethics, no matter what you believe in. That's one thing for sure. The math is mathing. 3 is more than 2. That's why so many people shoot threes. So I think I'm going to go with the Timberwolves, though, to win the series at plus 300. So if you want to get crazy, a parlay of the Timberwolves plus 300 to win the series and the Knicks to win the series by 1.5 games plus 880. Plus 880. I really like it. I think both series, though, I'll tell you this much. I think both series are 1-1 after 2 games. Both series are 1-1 after 2 games. And if you want, there's ways that you can make money by blindly betting on the dog in both game 1 and game 2. And if you get one of them to hit, you're turning out a pretty good return on your investment, right? Minnesota in game 1 is plus 240. Pacers in game 1 is plus 160. You bet the money line on both, and if it doesn't hit, I think you roll it over to the next game. That's how I'm approaching the playoffs, and that's how I'm approaching this NBA Conference Finals. I think I'm going with Minnesota to win the West, and I got the Knicks to win the East. So those are the picks for the conference finals. Let me know what you guys think, man. Hit us in Discord. Hit us on the social medias at Veterans Minimum, all social medias. You guys know the deal. All right. So the schedule came out, right? The schedule came out. By the way, just crossed my mind because over on the side there, I have a New York Rangers poster. Let's flash that over right there. Yeah, I can't really see it, but it's right over here if you're watching this on the YouTube. Quick hockey rant. A little hockey, a little puck, eh? Toronto, what the fuck was that, bro? Dude. Listen, I know we don't really talk hockey on this one, but shouts to my guy Dylan Alabrandy. I've been trying to get this fucker to make hockey content for years now. He's one of the best minds when it comes to hockey. Anytime I've ever bet hockey, I've profited with him. Right? He's legit picked the last 4 Stanley Cup champions. No BS. Dude's a fucking savage, right? I hit him up after round 1 of both the NBA and the conference, the NBA and the NHL playoffs. And I go, yo, who's going to the Cup? Edmonton and Toronto. I go, all right, cool. So I make a parlay, 25-1 odds. Toronto Maple Leafs, Edmonton Oilers. All right, all Canada affair. How about this for hockey notes? Not even in my notes. There hasn't been a Canadian Stanley Cup winner since like 92, 93, eh? What's going on? I thought this was y'all shit. All right, Americans run this bitch now. What's up? Especially, well, a lot of Canadian guys play in the NHL throughout, right? But, I digressed too much. So I'm watching this. They fucking lose game 5 at home. Like, get smoked. And then game 7 at home, you just won in Florida, coming off a shutout. Game 7 at home, dud. Absolute dud. Get sent home, sent the fuck up packing. I think they've lost 6 game 7s in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Again, not a hockey show. Kind of just was watching pre-games and watching, the NHL version of Charles Barkley and Shaq and Kenny and Ernie. What the fuck, man? I'm over there thinking like, yo, we might have something here, man. We might have something. 25-1. Shout out Dylan. Nope. No show. So I don't get it. Why they continue to not win those big games at home. But maybe we could bring on a hockey expert when the time comes. But the schedule is out, right? A little schedule action. Gonna do a deeper dive in the schedule. Still gathering more and more information. The one thing I will mention is now is the time where you can bet your futures because you have an idea when you can bet the futures. And I'm going to just give you an example. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this is why the NFL schedule is so fucking important. Because, again, I don't think this is going to happen, but bear with me so things can make sense for you. If you thought the New York Giants were going to win the division, 35-1, right? Just using this as an example, why the schedule matters. And this is close to home, right? We got Giants paraphernalia fucking everywhere, brother. Giants' first 7 games. At Commanders, at Dallas, home Chiefs, home Chargers, at Saints, home Eagles, at Denver. At Philly, home Niners. Shit's over by Halloween, bro. Shit is over by Halloween. So let's just use the Giants as an example so you guys can understand. And this could apply to all your teams. Any team you want to bet on. You look at the schedule. If you're someone like me, you're like, yo, they're probably 0-4. Probably 0-4. You can get a better number on them to win the division, right? I know this doesn't make sense. Like, you're like, why would I bet on them 0-3, 0-4? Say they're 1-3, right? Say they split one of the division games, which best case scenario for me as a New York Giants fan, give me 1-1 going into that what is that, Sunday night football game, week 3 against the Kansas City Chiefs and Pat Mahomes? Give me 1-1, bro. Let's beat Dallas. Let's steal one in Washington or Dallas. Like, give me one of those, right? That's when you would bet on the Giants to win the division, right? You look at the strength of schedule, win total. It's the most, like, I think a lot of the networks, a lot of mainstream media, when they do strength of schedule, they base it on win percentage from the year before. That's not the way to do it. The best way to do it is using strength of schedule based on win totals expected by the sports books this year. That's the best indicator when it comes to strength of schedule. Who would have guessed? New York Giants, hardest strength of schedule in the league. Them in Cleveland, and then you got Detroit, then you got Minnesota, and then you got Baltimore. The 5 hardest schedules based on win total expectancy this year by the sports books. You got the Giants, the Browns, the Lions, the Vikings, and the Baltimore Ravens. The easiest, based on the same criteria, you got the 49ers, got the Patriots, Saints, Falcons, Jaguars. Now, if you guys remember the way too early NFL Super Bowl predictions for next year, I had the Niners in the Super Bowl. I like it. I think the Niners are going to bounce back. Look, they just had the season from hell, right? We spotlighted that all throughout the football season and then even in the offseason. The Niners have the easiest schedule in the league. I think they're going to bounce back. They got way too many grizzled vets. They got way too many good players to not bounce back, right? Like, that team has a lot of pride. And I think they're going to come back guns blazing. And as long as they're healthy, they're going to be a really fucking tough matchup and tough out like they've been under Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. Look, we'll save the Brock Purdy extension for another time because I don't like going too long on these solo shows. But we'll talk about Brock Purdy. He got his money. Good for him. I don't know. We'll see when the time comes. We'll discuss that more. So, look, it's strength of schedule, man. It's really, really important based on the average opponent win total this year. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for those teams. And when you're looking at it, it's something that you got to take into consideration. Now you can fire off your futures. Now you can know, like, hey, if I like Pat Mahomes to win MVP, are his first 3 games going to be difficult? Maybe I could bet him after. Say Kansas City comes out 1-3 out the gates. Maybe I could bet on Mahomes then. So I'm just giving you scenarios because in March, we knew who you were going to play. We just didn't know when you were going to play. Now we know when you're going to play. So it's very, very important. I love it now. I've already parlayed a couple things. Rams, Bills to be the Super Bowl. I've made some bets. I bet on Buffalo to win the Super Bowl. They're parlayed in a Timberwolves, Bills, Spain to win the World Cup ticket. I posted it on my social media. So we'll do more of a deep dive. I am back home, like I mentioned. I'm spending a lot of time with my parents. You know, I don't get to see them as often now that I don't live in New York. You know, I see them twice a year, so I'm definitely enjoying that. But I did want to give you guys some content and some of my thoughts. Gonna have a better and longer breakdown of the schedule maybe next Monday. Hopefully later this week, I put together a cool show with some guests for you guys. But that is all, man. That is all for this episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for following and subscribing. Rate, review. Hit me on Instagram. Hit me on social media. The support has been amazing. You guys have given me a life that I could only dream of, that I only dreamed of, and I always wanted, right? I've always wanted this life, so I'm very, very grateful. Thank you all for your contributions to the Patreon. Remember, patreon.com/veteransminimum. Please change your membership tier. Move it to the $1, move it to the $5 tier. George and I are very, very grateful and thankful for everything that you guys are doing for us. That is all for this solo pod. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys want more of these rants. You know, back in Vegas, I'm building out a set so I could do more personal content and more VM content, spur of the moment, hot takes and shit like that. So let me know what you guys think, man. Your feedback is a blessing. And you guys know I always view you guys as my employers. So I want to make sure that the boss is happy. Peace, everyone.
I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be